My apologies for any noise pollution that's coming from the vacuum cleaner outside. Well, I promised that I would explain Nintoism to you, and I will. But I'd first like to start off saying that any madman can create a religion. Any fool that wishes to control through fear can create a religion that controls the mindless masses. And that's not what this is about. This is far from it. This is to free people from that brainwashed mindset, or lack of mindset, honestly. And Hinduism really does emphasize on free will. It's nothing ugly, nothing that could cause any damage. It's a philosophy. It's a new philosophy I'm coming up with. And though we may look back and say, well, Crowley was technically a philosopher and was inspiring his own religion. Yes, but he lived in a world of violence. He cherished it. Though me and him may be sick to a degree, but it's totally different. I wish to help others. I'm tired of seeing good people being judged because, well, they're not Christian. Well, you're Satanist, you're going to hell because you don't worship God. Oh, you're Wiccan, you worship the earth, yet you're still going to hell. Just because you don't believe a certain way. You're bad. You side with the devil. And honestly, if either was good, and honestly, I think both are God and the devil are both evil. It's just the devil accepts everyone. Anyone God has thrown aside, any of God's children, if he's thrown aside just because they didn't say and bow down and become a slave. The devil doesn't discriminate. He gives pain to all, but yet accepts them all. And honestly, if it's freedom of thought, then what are we supposed to be? Mere mindless Neanderthals? I don't see it as right. We were granted this intellect, and if we were granted this speech and intellect and thought of reasoning, then why not use it? If it's the devil's work, then I'd rather do the devil's work than just be some little, well, sheep. And I found that Nintoism would be best. It's Japanese for mind, and ism, suffix ism, for emphasizing on religion. Though at no point in time did I really think, well, there's going to be a God. There's not going to be some punishment in the afterlife. It is basically a religious philosophy that emphasizes on freedom of thinking, freedom of speech, and it accepts other religions as well. It's not saying, well, one religion is wrong and there's only one truth. No, we're accepting there is multiple possibilities. The fact that we're human means we do not know. We do not grasp the divine, and we could never, ever possibly grasp anything divine until, oh, eons go by, and I honestly don't think that within the Earth's lifespan, humans will ever be able to comprehend anything divine, honestly. Because as beings, we're still going to be doubtful, and even if we found out something divine, we'd still have to question, what if there's something else? And that's what Hinduism is. It is questioning. It is always wondering, well, what if it's wrong? And you try to find, and it's the idea of finding answers. It is always seeking out and trying to create a sense of unity. which most religions in general, especially Christianity, which you'll find I will use Christianity as an example, but it's not the only religion. Yes, I know this. But since we are in America and it's such a large part of our society now, that I'm going to use it, and that is the reason why I will say that, like Christianity, it's a religion that draws people apart and will usually break families apart, which you may say does not happen, but it does, because you have people that will follow Old Testament instead of New Testament and find that if you divorce somebody and that if the person that, okay, let's say this, if a woman is divorcing a man because he abuses her, belittles her, or treats her like a slave, that it's wrong in the divorce. And if you marry both parties, the new husband or how significant other, and the woman that was being abused is committing adultery, which is a sin, I don't find this correct. It's not logical. Are you supposed to stay with that person until they kill you from all that abuse? Are you supposed to endure that pain just because some deity or imaginary being is sitting God knows where, and I really do mean God knows where, but never intervenes, never shields you from a strike? I don't find that right. I think we should doctrinate our own lives in such a way that we are trying to live the best we can in any freedom that's given. There's ours. Not one being, be it man, mortal, or beast, should say, well, what you're doing is wrong when you're trying to preserve yourself. Because what was our point in life to begin with? To pass on knowledge and our genetics. We're supposed to develop and grow. We're supposed to evolve, even if it's not a physical change of evolution. It's supposed to be an intellectual evolution. You're supposed to grow. You're supposed to question. You're supposed to think. And to say, well, and this goes on. It goes into drugs too. If we're trying to preserve our intellect, then why make drugs illegal because they damage our body and brains? It makes no sense. If you don't want us to use our brains to full capacity, leave drugs in a person's system. It's only right? And it's just, mentalism is going to emphasize on, like I said, freedom of thought, freedom of speech, and it's going to be acceptance of others. No matter if you disagree or agree with them, it's their opinion. It's their natural right to question and believe what they wish. We're not the same. There's no such thing as a actual equality. We are still animals in a degree, and in that sense, there are still superiors. I mean, if you look at government, those guys aren't equal to us. I mean, they get things, they get products, transportation, their own jets with no cost. Their rights, their income are not equal to ours, and since this is not a communist or a socialist state, there is no equality, and that's the truth. This is not a land of equality. Instead, it is borderline dictator hierarchies. It's corruption, and honestly, it's fueled by Christianity. And no matter what anyone says, that, well, this was an immigrant country. Yes, this was an immigrant country, but it just started changing. It became malicious, and for some odd reason that America became a superpower, which I don't see how that's possible. When you fear Cuba, you fear Russia and Cuba, and you're supposed to be this superpower. You're supposed to have this pull over everyone. You're gonna fear them, and it just proves that there's no such thing as America being a superpower. And I think it's just because we're such a Christian nation that we think we're powerful. we think that since we have God on our side, the Christian God, Jehovah, whatever you want to call him, that we will succeed as long as we have faith. And it's wrong. I mean, this country has killed innocent people. Yet you'll see the same people in church saying that you're supposed to turn the other cheek, violence is wrong, and all this, and it's hypocrisy. And I find that that Hinduism will be, if it gets enough footing, something grand. And I can only hope that somehow this spreads and we learn from it. Because honestly, I grew up going through abuse, and there was no justice. There was no God protecting me. And honestly, the only devil I saw was the man standing before me. And even if I don't believe in the Christian God or the Christian devil, I do believe that there has to be something out there bigger. There's always something bigger. At least in a logical sense, we are not the top of the food chain. We are not the brightest. Honestly, our existence has been a ripple in the ocean, raging ocean in time. Our ripples have not even reached out a centimeter in comparison to other life forms. And that in itself proves that we are not a perfect creature. Alligators and crocodiles, I mean, even sharks, they've been around since the age of dinosaurs, and the only difference is they've shrunk in size because humans have come along and taken away most of their habitat and depleted their food sources to where they've had to cope. And it's just proof that humanity is not the superior being. It's not perfect. And nothing about our bodies is perfect. So you have to think, well, if this was a divine design, whatever designed us and made us be imperfect, while some other of the lesser and more primitive beings have stayed the same in most of the basic sense. And it just proves that maybe we're the accident. Maybe we're the parasites. And it just... But that's not the point. The point is that I came up with this religion for the sole purpose of bringing people together. Even if I may be an antisocial person, I realize that people have to coexist and get along to some degree. And if we can't get along, then there's always going to be war. There's always going to be more suffering than there has to be. I mean, if we think about it, there's already disease. There's already famine. And if we think about that, then there's already enough suffering. Why add a religious war and conflict to where you damn other people just because they don't agree with you? They're not the same. And it's in all sense wrong. So why do we say that this Christian God is just when he turns everyone against each other? And if one would say, well, maybe the other gods are just our God presenting himself to other people. Why would he do that? He's encouraging people to worship another God other than him, which in the Ten Commandments says thou shalt not do that. Well, then God's just playing us all. So you have to think. The reasoning is that most religions that are new aren't flat out. But, and I will admit this is still a work in progress. I mean, there's no church, there's no Bible, but at some point in time, all religions started from scratch. Because there had to be first somebody who said, well, here's the idea. So, to say, well, just because mine doesn't have any footing yet, it would make it invalid, isn't right either. And it's just a matter of time. As everything grows in time, so will my ideas, and so will this religion. And I hope you all will actually see the logic in it and either side with me or at least understand where I'm coming from instead of just saying, well, this kid's batshit crazy and he hates God. Yes, I hate God, but it's for a whole other reason than just, well, he's not part of my religion, no. It's because simply flat out, he's a dick. If he does exist, he's a kid with a magnifying glass and he's creating the biggest sun possible to fry us all. And if anything, he's the devil within us all. And if that's the case, then why not try to fix that? And I hope that you understand that stupidity is the only sin that man can commit. It may be natural for humans to be stupid and ignorant, but as time has changed, we have developed. So why must we still cling to such a primal theism? It's just hindering our growth, and it really is, too. I mean, if we threw away most of the belief system of, well, if they don't believe this, they should die, or so and so and so. And if we threw away the negativity in religion, which honestly I think this may harm me in the long run, but I honestly think we should just throw away religion in general, which would turn this into more of a philosophy than a religion, but I'm fine with that. Yeah, I think that's better if it was a philosophy, it was a mindset which would allow us to accept others more so than saying, well, these guys are wrong, these guys are bad, which is the main problem in the first place. So it's more, what the Bible says, love thy neighbor, but do not turn the other cheek. If somebody strikes you and they continue to, you should fight back. And if you have to protect your family, no matter friends or family, from any dangerous threat, be it person, animal, or whatever, you should act accordingly. And if it needs violence, then so be it. We are animals, and animals do use violence to solve their problems. But it's this understanding that, yes, through our actions there will be pain, and through any action there's going to be some kind of pain. And that's what makes life life. It's the pain that validates us, but we can't let it overcome us. So, I hope this gave you some insight. If this seems like rambling, message me, contact me on Facebook, whatever. Email me for all I care. Nohelms, NOH.HELMS @yahoo.com, and ask me, and I will gladly answer any questions. Because I really do hope that people try to look into this and try to grasp an understanding of not only my ideas, but the people around them. Because that's what's important. It is to understand everyone. That is the whole purpose of intellect. It is our purpose of reason. If we cannot try and understand others, we're just leaving ourselves ignorant and stupid and blind. Which, if we're going to exist like that, why try and create some ordered society? It just does not make sense. You're advocating chaos and conflict while trying to keep everything together. So, again, Nohelms, NOH.HELMS @yahoo.com. Any questions, or even contact me on Facebook, I will definitely respond, and I will clarify any questions that you may have. and I will go on next video to discuss government, and I may try and bring some friends in to discuss. And if that's the case, then you're most likely, I apologize now, because they will probably be offensive, which, if they have a Reddit view, it's not necessarily my views reflected in their words. And I'm sure most of them, at least one of them, if I get them on here, is going to be very negative, cynical, and yeah, somebody's going to get pissed off about that. But that's the warning right there. If any video I will even post on the description as warning, offensive material may be included. But that being said, everyone have a nice day, and remember, intellect is key and acceptance is crucial.